You know,
What's going on, man?
I'm a little
It's Frank Starfyre.
nice to meet you.
And, I'm a simple guy, and I live my life by really simple means, you know what I mean? And, I live by simple mottos and credos and phrases and everything, because it works for me, you know what I mean? Lately, I've adopted a new...
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Frank Starfyre, and this is the Just to Be Frank podcast. I want to thank you for joining me. Tonight, I actually am going to be speaking to a young lady who's a part of this somewhat new phenomenon as far as social media is concerned, in that it's all about streaming and sort of monetizing your streaming. There is an app right now, it's called Meet Me. It's in conjunction with Plenty of Fish. And basically it's really just people streaming and showing their lives and just sharing that aspect of themselves. Much like anything, you'll find a lot of negativity, but you also find a lot of positivity. And the young lady I'll be speaking with is a part of that positivity. So I wanted to give her a chance to tell exactly what it is that she does, why she does it, and how she got started in this. It's brand spanking new, believe me, and I'm still trying to figure it out. And hey, I'm involved in it myself now. But so without further ado, let me introduce to you, it's JillyBaby.
Hello.
Hey, Jilly.
I was just gonna go run. Are you recording now? I was gonna go run and grab my drink.
Go grab your drink. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay, well, no, because I had like this really random background. Sorry, I had this really virtual background that was happening, and it was like really weird before.
Okay, fair enough. No, go get your drink, girl. You good? She's going to get her drink, ladies and gentlemen. I got mine because right now I'm drinking coffee. It is 10 o'clock at night. I'm tired.
The only thing I have in here. So I just finished my show, hence the Santa hat and
fair enough.
A little festive setup here.
I see. If it looks like I'm looking to the sides because my camera's over here, but you're over here, and I'd rather look you in the eye, so don't worry, it looks very weird. Well, welcome to the Just to Be Frank podcast.
I look forward to it.
Are you streaming this right now?
I'm not streaming this.
Okay.
I'm unfortunately not a fan of dual streaming.
Mm-hmm.
It takes away from like things, so I just that I couldn't do it if I was
fair, and luckily,
but I don't like doing it.
Okay, that's fair. Well, we're recording this, but I still have to edit and put it out. If I start to get all glitchy, just let me know. We'll cut to commercial.
Okay. We'll cut to a real commercial break.
Listen, I'll make one, damn it. I keep saying it in the videos whenever it happens, and eventually I'm gonna have to make an actual commercial.
Right. Sponsored by
Meet Me. Plenty of Fish. Oh, hold on 1 second. That's gonna annoy me. There we go. See, that's why I left my phone over there, because Lord knows I'll be entertained by what the hell's going on the damn app. This app is kind of crazy to me. It's very fun, and I'm meeting mad interesting people.
Sure.
Here we go. How did you get involved in this? Like, how did you come across this? Were you just on Plenty of Fish, like, I'm bored, I'm looking for a boyfriend or something?
No, it's because of COVID. If you literally go to my profile, I haven't even edited it from the first time I got on. It literally says, I'm here because my friend made me do it. So like, it was really like, so we're like COVID hit, everything shut down. So, everything became Zoom parties, right? Zoom, house party became, house party expanded its thing. So we're in house party. And one day, one of my friends, she was just like, oh my God, you guys have to get on this. No, actually we were in a Zoom get together and she's like in the Zoom talking just like this, but then we see her doing this. Hey guys, da, 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 da. And then she'd be talking to us and then she'd be like, hey guys, we're like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm streaming. And we're like, streaming on what? She's like, oh my gosh, you have to try this like on Plenty of Fish. And I'm like, Plenty of Fish. I remember when Plenty of Fish first started and that was like a death trap, a dating death trap.
You can hook up.
A hookup site, and so
this is an adult show. You can cuss, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
It was just like a dating hookup death trap. I was like, I tried it when it first started, and it was just like, ugh. So, though I should be fair, I met my guy best friend in Austin off of Plenty of Fish. We ended up being like,
so there you go.
To this day, but other than that, it was trash.
Okay.
And so fast forward to now, and she's like, no, there's this live feature. I'm like, what do you mean this live feature? She's like, yeah, you're in there. And it just tells you how many people are in here. I'm like, they're just staring at you. She's like, yeah. And then you can jump in the box and people can talk to you in a box. I'm like, jump in your box. He goes, and then they like throw you gifts. I'm like, throw you gifts. I'm like, what this shit sounds weird. I said, you're just sitting there? And she's like, no, you just gotta try it.
Yeah. I spoke to a young lady and she's from the UK.
Okay.
So when she says things like, yes, I want you to jump in my box. It's just, over here, we hear one thing.
Right?
She doesn't understand the context of what we understand. So it's like she doesn't get that. Like, and it amazes me. But I'm learning things about the UK and Europe and things like that I never would have thought. And so there are little things that she'll say that you'd be like, all right, wait, you can't say that. I mean, you can, but it sounds totally wrong. Like, apparently they don't say, oh, I'm putting lotion on. They say, I'm creaming myself.
Yes.
So if you say, come in my box while I cream myself.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. No.
Like, wait, what?
Exactly.
Right.
It's definitely a tool to like obviously expand your world in a socially safe distancing way.
I'm glad you said that. It's a tool.
Yeah, it is a tool, right? So even when I first got on it, it was like, okay, let me try this. This is like weird. And in the beginning it was weird, and I got caught up, I will say that on the app, I started out as a gifter. You get caught up in sending gifts and like networking with people and you just kind of get lost in the sauce. And I started the streaming thing and it was just, in the beginning, it was just really for fun. Right. So I would just kind of like sit on my bed and talk. I'm like, this is kind of weird. People talk, or we get dressed up to do it. Cause this is like prime COVID time, right? This is right. April, May, June. We're just
started this podcast.
Right. We're just in it. Right. So what else is there to do but get dressed? I call it getting dressed up from the neck up, right? Dress up from the neck up we can party. So we look good from here, but from here down, pajamas, socks, sweatpants, you know what I'm saying? Like nothing festive going on this. You know what I mean? Like
Jeffrey tubing out this motherfucker.
Right. So it became something to like look forward to do. And I didn't start taking my streaming on Plenty of Fish seriously probably until about July, August time. Okay. Where I was like, okay, I began to understand what it could be. And I began to like actually put like intentional effort into it. And like, it's a tool, right? It is a platform. It is a means to engage people. And what I always tell people when they use the app, I just tell them, I said, this is not something like special or unique. This is still just another way that reflects regular life. It's regular life. There's still people that like you, don't like you. There's still, clicks. There's still
you're gonna get dick pics. You're gonna steal some shit you don't want to,
dick in the box, like that's it's just life. Like it's no different.
What did you do before this? Like,
before,
what's your background? Like, where are you from? What do you do?
So I'm originally from Hawaii and Guam.
Okay.
So I was born in Hawaii, and I lived in Hawaii till I was about 11 years old. Then I moved to Guam. My parents separated when I was 2. So I moved to Guam about 10, 11 and to be with my mom. Soon as I turned 18, on a plane, off the rock. I'm like, I need to leave here.
What is there to do? I have to ask. Guam is in the South Pacific, yes?
It's in the Pacific, yes. It's near.
What is there to do in Guam?
Well, when I was growing up, not much. There's a lot more now.
Okay.
But Guam is a U.S. territory, just like Puerto Rico is, right? So it's got everything that's, you have for the most part here. It's very Americanized.
Minus the morbid obesity?
No.
Oh, damn.
No. I mean, culturally, rice is part of one of the main food groups.
That damn rice.
So, but just very small, tiny island, like super tiny.
And then, so you left there, you came to...
I moved to Arizona to go to school. Okay. In my mind, it was like, I just need to, I had a family member there that my mom was comfortable with me leaving for.
What school?
I went to ASU for a couple years, and then I ended up finishing and doing stuff at DeVry.
Okay.
And then DeVry and University of Phoenix. I kind of jumped around. What ends up happening is I was on my own. So it became something where I went to school for a little while, and then I was like, I have to work.
Right.
So then it turned into, okay, I can't go to university. I have to go something that has night school. So I'm going to DeVry. And then I was like, oh, University of Phoenix. And so I kind of hopped around and ended up finishing school like online, right? Doing like online schooling.
Okay.
But I lived in Arizona in Phoenix for, 2000 to 2008.
Okay.
Ended up leaving there, going to Texas. So I went to Austin, Texas.
Shout out to A.
Yeah, ATX. And so I spent 2008 to 2015 in Austin. And then in 2016, I didn't live anywhere. I actually got rid of my stuff, put things in storage. And for 2016, I just traveled. I lived out of I had a backpack and a small suitcase.
How was that? You did that just in the United States or just?
No. I went all over. I spent most of my time in Europe.
Okay.
Like I went back home to Guam. I went down to Southeast Asia. And then I spent most of my time in Europe. So I went to Spain, Germany, Switzerland.
You suffer from wanderlust.
Yeah, I loved it. And you know what about it? So you got to think, so when I did this, I was, how old am I now? 38.
Oh, I remember Mama, I didn't ask her how old she was.
I'm like trying to count back. Look, I'm getting old. I have to count backwards now. I'm just like, oh, -3. So I was 34. I was 34 when I did this. And so I wish I would have done it much earlier on, but things happen, whatever. But what I say about that time period of my life for sure, and I tell somebody, is that was the very first time in my 34 years of living that 100% of my time was mine. Right. And so it was a very profound moment for me to just be like I don't have to be anywhere I don't want to be. If I go somewhere, I had a list of places I want to travel to. If I went there and was like, I don't like this, I could leave early. Or if I went there and I said, actually, I really like this place, I could stay longer. Like I didn't have
How did you afford this?
So one, if you understand, you actually really learn how to travel. Traveling is really not that expensive if you know how to do it.
Tell me about it.
Two, I pretty much took my money out of my savings, right? So I just used my savings to sustain me. And then 3, I was still doing like my own personal business consulting stuff on the side. So I would just do small projects as I was moving around to get some income there. But for the most part, and then also like staying with friends, like networking, when you travel, it's like knowing it's expensive as hell to travel out of the US.
Right.
But when you're actually out of the US, travel is really inexpensive. In Europe, you can take trains, their short haul flights the flights there are much more inexpensive. Like even when you go to like Southeast Asia and you're traveling, you got to think of it more like what we call like traveling domestically here is the same thing over there, but their domestic travel is amongst
right
that are over there. So
that's really interesting, man. And around that time, traveling the world, that could have been very dangerous. I suspect you know how to fight. But
well, here's the thing, right? What would you always be told, right? Like everyone has street sense, but
no, not everybody does.
Has like common sense.
No, not everybody does.
No, but everybody has common sense. But when you travel, right? Like, you kind of just have to be mindful of, you don't, maybe the same things that you learn about, like, don't don't walk in places by yourself late at night. Like some of the basic things like you do, like don't, you know, be mindful of your surroundings and put your, and it was something that I was really mindful of because I'm a woman traveling by myself, right? And so making sure that I, you know, looked into places that I was staying, let people know where I was. Even when you're traveling to other countries, you know, you go online and you check in, you know, you put your information in with the embassy, like you go to the U.S. travel advisory place and you put your information in. So if something was to happen to you, friends, you know, using your network. I stayed with a lot of friends who I knew that lived, you know, in other areas that were safe.
Friends that you met online or?
Yeah, so friends that I met like in a travel group. So at that time in my life, I had actually probably like 2012, 2011, I had became part of a travel group that a friend of mine, my friend's friend who became my friend as well now, started a travel group back then called the Nomadnish Travel Tribe. Amazing space with the mission ends back then, which now it is just morphed into this huge, I mean, it's huge now. But, you know, her whole idea was starting a community to promote travel amongst people of color, right? Statistically, you know, at least back then, statistics are much better now. People of color didn't have passports, you know, and they don't travel, right? Because they don't see people that look like them in travel ads. You don't see people that look like, why would I be over there? And yeah, so it was a group that was meant to foster that and connect people that were there, expats, to just say, hey, you know, people of color do want to go run with the bulls. People of color do travel to Thailand or, you know, Bali, and they do these things and not only do them, but can do them in a fun way, do them in an economical way. And also by being somewhere else, you know, India, I went to India, we went to India and did Holi festival, like to bring your culture there, but to also learn about someone else's culture, you know, and, you know, traveling to me, like I encourage everybody to travel, like traveling just, you know, opens your eyes and makes you realize we have probably more of that problem here in the US, I think, where, you know, it's you're very just monolithic, right? You're just like, the whole world is this right here. And it's like, do you understand how minuscule your little space that you occupy in this gigantic world is?
You know, it's funny. I'm from Jamaica, Queens, right? Jamaica, Queens is, well, Queens, New York is famous for two things. Famous for many things, but famous for two things.
For one,
it's the largest of the 5 boroughs.
Right.
And it's also considered to be the most culturally diverse place on planet Earth. There's a representative from every nation of the world in Queens.
Oh, I went and just said Nas.
So listen, I mean, you know what? That's a good foundation. It's a good start. You know what I'm saying? But if you're into hip hop,
I love hip hop.
All right, so I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do. We're definitely gonna do this again. January, I'm doing an entire month of hip hop appreciation episodes. So I would definitely love to have you on just to get an outside perspective from somebody who is not from one of the 5 boroughs or any major city like that.
And you need to understand, that's a whole separate discussion.
About, we'll get into that. We'll get into that.
On a tiny island.
Yeah, man. But it's amazing because I guarantee, and I don't know why I know this, but in my mind, I fully believe that Tupac was heard on that island.
Tupac was heard, but I will tell you the first rapper that really got me, where I was like, oh, this is it. DMX. Okay, well, that's a whole separate show. That's a whole separate show.
Man, I tell you, I don't even know how much to say how much I love you right now.
All right. But back to the Queens being the most diverse.
Yeah. So and then I'm from Jamaica, Queens. So it's like I see everybody from everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So where I'm from, it's like, yo, the block and your neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really all you know. You know what I'm saying? And then those people that are in your neighborhood, be they from Guyana, Jamaica, Guam, Hawaii, like wherever they're from, they just become a part of the overall makeup of your neighborhood.
Right.
It doesn't lead one to want to travel too much because in our mind, it's like, and at least I can say this for myself, y'all came here. wherever y'all wasn't that great. You came here, you know what I'm saying? You know, now that's a very ignorant thought, but it definitely,
it's a real thought.
It's a real thought.
It's very real. And I think that's and especially you probably see it it's like a microcosm, right? Because you see it in such a small space.
Yep.
And I think that, you know, it's like, why do I need to leave anywhere, right? I think it's the same, here, I relate it to the same concept here in like New York. Like so many people don't have a license. Why do I need a license?
I didn't need one.
Train, right? But if you leave here and you decide you want to move somewhere else,
you need
one, like this whole transportation system here in New York, New Jersey, that does not exist in many other places in the US.
You got to learn it.
Right.
Learn how to get around.
And so like, yes, you may come across those cultures here, but there's nothing like being over there and experience that. And I think what it really does for people is it builds tolerance, you know, it kind of puts things in perspective to see that, oh yeah, like, you know, what you may see on TV isn't what's really happening here. You see that maybe, oh, this is like third world, and you go there and you're just like, okay, well, this shit is actually really nice.
Right.
They're really doing all right. And
the culture shock is like non-existent. And it's funny, I went to California for a few days for my birthday a couple of years back, 2017. And I'm in Inglewood, California. I'm chilling, I'm staying at a hostel. Where, you know, I loved it. I looked at the one place later, and I looked at this place. I seen people smoking weed, drinking, and chilling. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go here.
Right.
And I'm walking around the neighborhood. I walk to the dispensary. You know, I'm meeting people. I'm sitting there vibing with people. And I remember sitting at the table by the pool and shit. And I was talking to one of the homies, and I was like, yo, man, this shit ain't nothing like what they show you, like what you see, man. He's like, yo, cuz, stuff like that. Yo, cuz, it ain't what they show you on TV, man. This shit is all peace, man. We be banging, but it ain't as ill as they show you. And
right.
He was right.
Right. And that happens like across the board, like even just going to places or still seeing that it's a struggle. But I think one of the other fascinating thing that you learn by being there is what, like, it also puts you kind of in check about what you have, and you're, you know, like being grateful for the things that you do have when you go to some of these countries, and to see them work with what I may, because of where I'm from and my background, I may look at as so little, but be 10, 20 times happier, or, you know, having some of these other not intangible things that we may take for granted with very, you know what I mean? It's just fascinating this when you just even to see that, right? Because my friend that started that travel group, another friend, and I helped her with her when she started her travel business, but taking people on their first, you know, international trip, or just that feeling of just having people just get the bug, but get out of their comfort zone and immerse themselves into something else. And it's just kind of like this, wow.
Yeah,
you know, like,
it does.
You know, just kind of illuminates your perspective. And you can't come back from things like that and not be changed a little bit, right? And not kind of carry that forward into how you make decisions, or how you operate, or decide to start to make life choices.
Right.
You know?
I see us both doing a little glitchy thing here. It's all right. It's I think it's really just Zoom. You know, it is what it is.
You're not glitchy to me though.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So we'll keep going for the moment. If it really gets really bad, we'll cut to commercial and we'll come back. But you don't seem like somebody who's a risk taker or anything like that.
Really?
Yeah, you don't strike me as somebody who's gonna jump out of planes or.
I've jumped off a lot of things.
I believe this. Now, after speaking to you, I believe it. But see, and this is where I was going. Like, first contact, you'd never think any of this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this would never cross my mind that you've done these sorts of things. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking you went to school, and you know what I'm saying, you got your degree, and you know what I'm saying, and that's why I love the fact that looks can be deceiving. What do you think it is that made you want to just see the world like this?
For me, a lot of it was, if I really think about it, right? So we have like a couch doctor moment. That's what I call like a therapy moment, right? I always tell people, you got to get on the couch. Everybody should get a couch doctor.
Yes, sir.
But for me, so when I'm an only child between my mom and my father, and then when they split, they got remarried, and I have stepbrothers and sisters, but I'm still the only child. And then I'm also the youngest amongst all of them anyway.
Okay.
So I think from being very independent, kind of growing up separate from them, I've always, like, it just developed this hyper independency for myself of having to take care of myself, and just being on a small island, like I didn't have, the same kind of connection with my siblings or cousins. I visited back and forth, but being on a small island, I just always remember like, there's gotta be more, right? There's more than just this. Like, this doesn't feel like, I think in my family the culture, the like island culture to me is similar to like what I would relate to like maybe like Hispanic culture, right? It's very family oriented, very family tight knit. You get pregnant while you're young back home. You meet your lifelong over in high school, and then your families merge and you just kind of stay and you take care of. And that's just what I grew up seeing. And for me, that just wasn't for me. I mean, when I say I graduated in May and I was on a plane in June, I was like, I'm out. Like, there has to be more than this. You grow up on an island, so I can only go but so far before I come back around.
Wait, you froze.
You see everybody, everybody. If you're from, you're straight back to the island, we're probably related somehow. So definitely it came from that, like just wanting to get away and wanting to just see as much of the world as possible, and just kind of wanting to break out of that and just move. I move a lot.
Yeah. You said you're in New York now.
I'm in New Jersey, yeah.
Okay.
So I moved to New Jersey. So after my world tour, I ended up in New York at the end of 2016.
Okay.
My good friend, she was just having like foot surgery, and I was just done with Europe. I was getting to the point, I was towards the end of the year where, like I said, if I'd done this in my 20s, I would have kept going. But, I'm 34. I'm just like, okay,
I'm tired.
A bitch needs, I need a bed. I need to be able to put some stuff away. Like, I'm tired of carrying this around. Like, I'm ready. I'm tired of sleeping in different places. Just need a space. So she was having surgery. I said, I'll just come back that way. I'll help you while you're doing this. Now, I had always wanted to move to New York. When I was looking at leaving Phoenix, the two places I was looking at was Cali and New York.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at the time, right? So at this time, I'm 25, and it just seems so, like, New York New York is so expensive. I was living in Arizona, cost of living in the South, significantly different.
Very much. So
I was just like, it's too expensive. And I've been visiting New York, and I'm just like, oh my God, it's like, so I like the fast-paced energy. But at that time I was like, I don't know how I'm going to handle this. Who can live here? So it just wasn't the right time.
Mm-hmm.
After living out of your suitcase and having to go to places where you don't speak the language and you have to figure it out and move around, New York didn't seem so scary.
I believe it.
It was just kind of like, I ended up here, and I really believe in the universe and God, and things happen for a reason when they need to happen. I ended up here in New York helping her. It was the end of the year. She's like, so what are you going to do? Another one of our good friends was doing something similar, and he's from New York and ended up here. So we were just out one day, and it was just kind of like, what are you going to do? And he was just like, yeah, he was like, I think I'm going to stay. I said, I think I'm going to stay. Like, the best time to move somewhere is when you don't have shit to move.
Yes, ma'am.
Literally what's on me. And we just kind of looked at each other. It was like, well, you want to, find a place, and we just share the rent because it's exorbitantly expensive out here. And that just became what it is, like end of 2016, we found a place actually out in Jersey, mm-hmm. right across the water, and, moved in Jan 1 of 2017 and have been here since. And it has been a extremely, it has definitely been a journey being here. A lot has happened since moving here that has brought me where I am now, of course, but it was very, very, like, probably one of the worst, best years of my life, my first year of being here, mm-hmm. and second and third, like, better. But I wouldn't trade it in. I'm here now, and so many wonderful things happened, you know.
What happened, if you want to
So,
talk about it?
No. So 2017, it was like, okay, I'm living in New York. You know, I in January, I got my place. I got a job. You know, my job was right on Park Ave, you know, right there on 29th and Park Avenue. You know,
I know it well.
Like, you know, like, this is great, right?
You just smoke weed over there.
The New York life, right? I have a job right there on Park Ave. I can see Grand Central Station right there. I'm in it, you know, Empire State Building right here. So everything was looking great. And what ended up happening was in the middle of 2017, probably right before summer, I just started to get sick. And I didn't know what was happening. You know, I just started out with like just a rash on my chest. I was like, oh, I'll probably just have heat rash. And I just progressively got extremely, extremely sick. And what ended up happening was come September, I got diagnosed with lupus.
Oh my goodness.
So
I was just talking about that in another episode.
I got diagnosed with lupus. So from most of my 2017 was being sick and them not being able to figure out what's going on. And I actually lost all of my hair. So by, you know, September, like, I ended up just cutting the rest of my hair, but it was just, you know, it was a scary time. Yeah. And it was my first year here, and, you know, I don't have family out here. So trying to navigate being sick, still going to work, you know, still doing all of these things, but having to go through that and to just kind of like figure that out, it was just kind of like, well, what a first year to be out here, you know, and to try to work through that the whole time. And then, you know, that's 2017, 2018 was, you know, trying to get better because they knew what it was.
Right.
So 2019 comes along, and 2019 was great. You know, 2019, I started traveling again. I was like, oh, this is great. This great trajectory. And then it was like in 2020, it's about to be even better. COVID. My birthday was literally the last day they allowed people outside.
Your birthday's in February?
In March, because they shut everything down in March 3rd. They shut everything down Friday, March 13th. Friday the 13th March was when everything shut down.
That's one of my brother's birthdays. That's dope.
Huh?
That's one of my brother's birthdays.
Oh, nice. So the 12th was my birthday. So it was the last hurrah outside before everything got shut the fuck down.
Oh, man.
But, you know, like, my journey with lupus has been, you know, one, not as bad as a lot of other people that have had it, but, you know, I think anytime you go through something, you know, I have a long medical, I've always been like I've always had lots of medical issues just growing up. It just progressively happens for me from, you know, when I was a kid, I had heart surgery to, you know, when I lived in Texas, I ended up having to have a tumor removed from my lady parts, and like, so then this, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like a progressive things of like these constant challenges. But when you have things like this happen, I always believe that, you know, you kind of, it's a reminder of how finite like life is in time. And you just kind of, I think sometimes it just kind of, you know, shake shit up in your life to just kind of be like, you know what, it's time to take, you know, stock in things that really matter, and not really like put, you know, let things that don't serve a positive purpose take up space.
I always say I'm thankful for the small things, and the big shit will fall into place.
You know what is the Drake line? We're here for a good time, not a long time.
Right. You know what I mean? So what do you do to handle the lupus? Do you go a natural method? Do you use the drugs they give you? So combination? How do you do it?
I'm currently still taking medication that they give me. So my whole process with it is because I was for me at least so sick, right? And anybody with lupus would tell you like it's a struggle because it's a very it's not a disease. It's like an invisible, they call it an invisible disease.
Invisible disease,
right?
Yeah.
So nobody sees it, you know. The proverbial, you don't look sick, and you're like, what the fuck
you're
does
not,
that mean?
Yeah.
What does sick look like? You know what I mean? You know, and so it's, for me, it was very much it came out of nowhere for me, and I just wanted to get back to normal, right? So I think every person with lupus goes through this struggle, right? Of getting your doctors to listen to you, right? Patient advocacy is like a huge thing. Like anybody that talks about it, I just remind them, like, you are your biggest advocate.
Yeah.
You are the expert of your body. Doctors, just because we have this like weird stigma, right? Because someone has a degree or they have these things or they're in these positions that they know best, and what they say is what it is.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but the flip in perspective of that is you're going to the doctor for a service, right? You don't work for them, they're working for you. So if you don't like what they're telling you, don't feel comfortable, guess what you can do? Go find another one. Yep. And go find another one until you find one that is on the same page as you in terms of how you want to care for your body or take care of what's happening with you. And they're out there, you know, they're there. And I went through three rheumatologists before I found the one that I am with now, that got me kind of back on track and who was on board with what I wanted to do. Right. I said, listen, I don't want to take pills, or I want to take a very minimal amount of medication. I've seen people who don't take it, but, I'm also not an expert in that way. And I'm not just going to dive into that. Right. But if we can work together, I would really love that. And he was on board with that. He was like, well, first is let's get you better. Right. So let's get your blood work. Let's get all of that back to normal. And then we'll start, tapering off and then making sure we can monitor you so that you can see what's working. But I have to do those things. I have to do the other things that I can do personally for myself. Right. So exercising, eating right. And, taking just better care of myself, getting sleep, looking and doing that type of stuff to give myself the best, put my body in the best position to fight or do what it needs to do, so that I don't need to be on these, medication and whatnot.
Right.
So, my ideal situation would of course be to be 100% off of taking any kind of medication. But for right now, it works for me as I taper down.
Yeah.
And slowly get off of it.
Listen, I'm just happy you're healthy. The young lady I spoke to about it, she said she literally lost her skin peeled off. So, and it was hard. It's very hard for her.
It's a very, the part that everybody not forgets about, but doesn't really address is more so the mental health aspect of it. It's so weird to say that, right? It's a very lonely disease.
Yeah.
Because there's really no way, especially because there's no way. So my lupus primarily affects my skin, right? And the hard part about lupus is it can be anything. It can be your liver, it can be your heart, it can be anything. And it's literally your body attacking itself. Your body can't tell what's good and what's bad. So any type of flare that acts up your body could just be like, let me attack that, right? So for me, primarily it's my skin.
Okay.
So for me, when I'm having a flare up, or if I'm not feeling well, my skin literally feels like the only way I can describe it is it feels like it's on fire.
Right.
I literally feel like my arms and my chest
fibromyalgia.
Yeah, like that. And I can describe it to people just think about really bad sunburn, but not actually having sunburn. And it's not like you can put cool water on it. It's not hot.
No, there's nothing that
the sensation of
it's nerves.
Yeah, it's your nerves, right?
Yeah.
And you just deal. And
do you smoke pot?
I do sometimes. I actually eat edibles.
Okay, you do edibles.
Yeah, so I just eat a little and just go to sleep.
I smoke pot because I realized that eating edibles does not work for me. I'll be useless.
Well, that's why I only do it, at night. I'm like, listen, I can't get any sleep. Let me just pop half a cookie. I'll be done in a little bit, and I just kind of lay down.
Do you use aluminum-free deodorant?
I've not gone that deep down the rabbit hole.
I ain't gonna lie, I love it. I love that. I like the fluoride-free toothpaste. I'm big on that.
To go with the fluoride-free toothpaste, to go in the fluoride-treated water?
I live in Pennsylvania.
Oh, you said
they don't fluoridate the water.
You said we don't fluoridate the water.
Yeah, no. That's why the pizza sucks.
That's
what I'm saying. That's why the pizza's terrible.
Oh, it's missing that little.
You know what I'm saying? And I ain't gonna lie. That's another thing. I don't eat dairy. Is I've never had in 38 years. I've never had a glass of milk. I do not eat cheese except for pizza.
Yeah.
And if there's too much on it, I'm gonna pull some off.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I've no mac and cheese, no cheeseburgers, no lasagna, never. You know what I'm saying? 38 years, never.
Never.
Dairy produces mucus. Mucus breeds disease.
But
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Sebi.
I'm familiar.
Okay, well, listen, I ain't gonna lie. I know one person who went to Usha Village with a problem and came back cured.
Fascinating.
She studied as a forensic toxicologist. She now runs her own business. She also does like homeschooling for kids and all that. She's big on STEM and things of that nature, teaching kids science and all that. But she was one of the fierce people that has shown me the adverse effects of like the petrochemicals that are in everyday things that we use.
Oops.
You know what I'm saying? The hair grease and hair shampoos and conditioners, like sodium lauryl sulfate. Why is the same thing that makes my laundry detergent suds up in my toothpaste?
That's in your shampoo too.
It's in your shampoo. It's in dishwashing liquid.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it never made sense. Like that started to click for me once I got off the fluoride. But the
fluoride was blocking your sense. The fluoride was blocking your sense.
It was, yes. It calcifies your pineal gland. So it stops the flow of serotonin and dimethyltryptamine throughout the cerebral cortex.
Oh, we getting deep.
Oh yeah, no, we'll go deep here. DMT in high forms is a psychedelic drug.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So you could take DMT as a drug and it'll trip you out like LSD or shrooms. Same properties, but mammals produce it from their pineal gland. Some mice produce it from their liver. But I think that's the chemical that is responsible for you having access to your subconscious mind. And if you believe in the multiversal theory like I do, your subconscious mind is what traverses the multiverse, which is why you can see and do almost anything in your dreamscape.
Gotcha.
I smoke pot. I read comic books.
I feel like I need to be smoking some right now if we're going to continue this conversation.
I mean, you go with your White Claw, girl.
That's not enough. It's not enough.
No, normally I'm drinking whiskey, but I'm drinking coffee at the moment.
Okay, all right. I was expecting the whiskey. I thought maybe the coffee had whiskey in it.
So no, gods, no. I do not sully my caffeine in such a fashion. So I don't know if you're into video games.
Not in a long time. I used to be. Okay. Not with current video games.
All right. So there's a game from a few years back called Until Dawn.
Okay.
All right. And it's for the PlayStation, and you're basically controlling like a bunch of actors. You're playing a horror movie. Okay. You're playing a horror movie, a murder mystery, and like some other shit.
Are you shooting zombies? You're not shooting zombies, are you?
No, it has to deal with Wendigo and.
I'm thinking of Red Dawn. That's what I'm
thinking. No. Okay. This is more like a very interactive game. One of those really interactive joints. You got to use the X-axis and all that type of shit. It's really like that. It stars Hayden Panettiere.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hayden Panettiere. I know who.
Thank you. I can never pronounce that young lady's name, and I feel so bad sometimes. But she's a character in the game. So there's like a bunch of actors. Rami Malek is in it.
Okay.
But it deals with the butterfly effect. Things that you do cause, can cause another link on the butt.
That's my whole theme.
Right. And then of course we all remember the very sad Ashton Kutcher movie. Or if you've never seen it, don't. You're not missing anything.
You only need to see it once if you do.
Everybody should see it once just to understand the concept of the butterfly effect. Right. But why because in all honesty and in fairness, if you really look at it, your life is the very definition of the butterfly effect. Honestly, like just one choice, one way or another.
No, but it really, also like, lupus, like the whole image behind lupus is the butterfly, right? Because one of the big common things about it is this butterfly rash that you get to associate a butterfly with the lupus cause, and for me, that's exactly what streaming is, just kind of in streaming. And I was just like, what am I going to do? When I started to take it serious, right? And I was just like, what could this be about? And it was just like, you know, I went to Australia. My company that I work for was based in Australia. So not last year, but the year before, I was there for work, and then I brought my mom for Christmas. But, you know, I got my butterflies tattooed on me, you know? And so it was just kind of like butterflies. And that's, you know, when it all clicked, right? The butterfly effect, you know, the theory in a sense, right? One small thing can just have a large impact, and you can make a difference with, you don't have to like have big money or make these big things. You could just have small moments, right? And for me, that's what like life is about. And that's what I want from myself. I think when I really realized that everything that has happened to me has always turned into a moment of, you know, what is that in Coach Carter, when he has that moment when he stands up and says, you know, our greatest fear is not that we are, you know, like, what is that, is of our own self, right? Of our own light that we too can shine too bright, you know, all of that stuff. But I mean, that's really true about life, right? The concept that like having that Me Too moment, not in that context, but that moment of just being able to share your story and seeing that just by me being brave enough to be like, this happened to me, to see somebody else just say, oh my God, like me, you know, that's happened to me too. Or how did you do this? Or I feel less alone. And especially when I got lupus, like, I mean, even thinking about it makes me sad. Like it is a very like suffering in silence type of situation. And so many people, especially women, right? 90% of the people, 99% of the people that have lupus are women. Like
women of color.
Or women, higher in women of color than white women, you know? It's women of color, Hispanic, and Pacific Islander. Like
that comes, I think that comes
Black
from
women primarily.
Yeah, well, I think that comes from the lack of vitamin D that we get from the sun because of the melanin.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Always a big proponent to a blood work when they tell you like your vitamin D levels, you got to keep those.
People of color have vitamin D deficiencies like no other because we're meant, especially in inner cities and places in the northern hemisphere, because we're subtropical people. We're supposed to be
closer to the equator.
Closer to the equator.
But like the idea of being that, right? Like, so every time, like in my stream, we bring it back onto where we met, like in my stream, right? My whole concept is always like time. I say this over and over again. And I know people get here, but time is, you know, time is one thing that you give and you just can't get back, right?
Commodity.
It's literally, you cannot get it back, right? So if I'm coming on this live stream and I'm going to be here, if we spend 2 seconds, 2 minutes, 2 hours together, like that brief time, or, you know, it's all brief when you really think about it. If we want to get that,
it's relative, right? It's all relative.
It's all brief, right? But whatever time we spend together, it should be positive, right? Like you should leave this exchange feeling better than you did before this exchange happened, right? And then I tell people, right, like leave things better than they were before you got there. And if you can't do that, just don't make it worse. Just don't fuck it up. Like at the very least, right? If you can't improve the situation,
don't fuck it up.
Shit worse. You know, like just don't make, you don't gotta add to it, you know, especially in 2020, right? Like 2020, perfect vision, you know, all of the irony wrapped up in that, right? Anything that 2020 did for all of us, right, was it should have opened your eyes to a lot of shit. It should have opened your eyes to a lot of your own shit, actually. Really think about it, you know, and just kind of like, again, taking stock in what's important, you know, what is important to you, what's important in life. Like if there are things in your space that don't serve a positive purpose, let it go, you know?
Yeah, I tell people all the time, if you have a tumor, you can get it excised from your body. You have the right to excise toxicity from your life, whether that be family, friends, job, whatever it may be. Whatever personal Satan you have, whatever personal adversary you have the right to excise that shit.
Exercise the demons.
Exercise the demons. This house is clear. Oh, you're a geek too. Awesome.
But no, 100%. Like and streaming has done that for me. It's given me a platform to do that for people, you know, and it's been therapy for myself because, you know, COVID, we're stuck inside. I'm like, well, it's me and the dog, you know, like, and he ain't talking back to me. So, you know, like,
because the minute he starts,
I know. So, you know, it's been a great way to just like, to do that, interact with people, give people, it's a break from my regular life, or if I'm going through shit. you know, for people that come to talk, we can be a break for each other. You know, life is hard on a regular, just on regular shit.
Yeah.
You know, people are going through their own shit at all times. And why do we need to make it harder for each other?
Right.
You know?
You know, it's interesting because unfortunately not everybody has ideas and ideologies that match that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you navigate that now? And this is where the tool of social media can be used inappropriately.
Oh, absolutely.
So how do you deal with that aspect of it?
in the streaming? So I mean, so there's two things to understand about, you know, the app, right? So you have this live feature, which we met on, this live feature, and that live feature, you kind of think of it like the cafeteria, right? And then there's 3 schools that feed into the cafeteria, right? So you have Meet Me, you have Scout, and then you have Plenty of Fish. Right. Plenty of Fish is the newest school that has been
right. They're the freshmen.
So they act like it. And let's be honest, it's a POF is a dating site. So when people come on there and they see this feature, you got to think about, they joined POF as a dating site. The streaming feature isn't just for dating. It's for all these other things. But you've got, you know, Tom Jones over here coming in looking for a date, talking about, what is this, you know? And so there's a little bit of grace and learning curve there. But then you just have trolls, like you just do anyway, that come in and say some of the most outlandish shit. And I'll be honest, it gets, as a woman, you know, I've had days where it's so much. Yeah. And, you know, on my stream, just because I'm on the dating site side, I do get a higher amount of views and people that come through. And there are times when it can be overwhelming. But for me, how I deal with that is this is for everybody that's listening that's not familiar with this is going to sound so ridiculous, right? But when you're in your stream, you have people that you set up as bouncers, right?
Right. Oh, I'm one.
That people that can come help you regulate your stream, right? Yep. And then those are people that if they see people talking too reckless, they have to kick them out and block them from the stream so they go away. So I, in particular, don't really let my bouncers kick anybody. Right. You know, I'm like, unless it's completely super out of control, it doesn't serve a purpose because they'll go away. And for analytic purposes on the app, you know,
get your views up.
You the more you comment, you help with the trending and you do all this. So, you know, if you're gonna say crazy stuff, knock yourself out. But I engage, you know, because 90% of them do it because they don't think you're going to engage or get a response, but I will engage back. Right. You know, I will troll the troll.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite pastime. I will troll the troll. Like, if you want to talk, like, yes, I can give you attention. Let's go. And most of the time they end up saying, oh, I just wanted to say hi, or, oh, you know, or this, or, you know, they pop in and they leave, you know, but the biggest thing in those situations to me is, you know, that's in a stream. And I tell new streamers this, who I said, that's my space and my domain. I control the energy and the feel of the stream. So if I don't acknowledge it and it's there, in life, we may be in a space and I can't kick you out of an establishment, you know, I can leave. But this stream, this is my space. So if it's too much for me, I can take that energy and just pluck it out of there.
Yep.
And move it out of the way. But if my energy is off and I don't feel like being on there, I will end my stream, or I won't be on. Right. You know, there's nothing that's demanding me or that deems me required to be there and allow myself to be put in a position to make me feel bad or be ridiculed or bullied.
Does this thing translate to cash?
Yeah,
it does. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's something we'll take offline, though.
No, it really does. And if you ever take the time to look like at people on there, it does.
I can't, because I don't go live very often because I'm like, who the fuck wants to listen to me? And this is why I host a podcast, so I can record it, edit it, put the fuck out. Like,
set it and forget it. You put it out there and just
I set it and forget it. Like, I don't have to interact with people like that. Mm-hmm. And I've learned from watching the Joe Rogan podcast, shit, I have to take a shot of whiskey, Bob. every time I say Joe Rogan's name or mention Joe Rogan, I have to take a shot because
now I know.
You know, look, it's weird, man. It's very funny. I don't think I've ever explained this. I didn't know who the fuck Joe Rogan was.
Really?
I knew Joe Rogan as the host of Fear Factor, and he was the Joey character on news radio. That's all I knew about Joe Rogan. I didn't know he was a fucking stand-up comic. I didn't know he was a martial artist. I didn't know he was fucking into
Number one, like,
theories and
podcaster.
aliens and all. I didn't know he was a pothead. Like, I didn't know any of this stuff. And during the pandemic, it was funny. I was watching the clips of Real Time with Bill Maher. And you know how the algorithms of YouTube work. You know, the more you watch one thing, they just feed you.
How about this?
So I'm like, all right, okay. And then the next one up was Bill Maher on the Joe Rogan Experience. So I'm like, Joe Rogan, that sounds familiar. Okay, well, let's see what he's talking about here. Turn that shit on. It was just the clip of an episode, and then the very next one was the full episode, and I really sat there for 3 hours and listened to that shit. And I'm like,
you went down the YouTube.
What? And then the next episode was one with Nikki Glaser, and then it was Ben Shapiro, and then it was this, and I'm like, yo, I don't know any of these people, but yo, that's interesting, and it just, you know, I fell down the rabbit hole and I learned more about him, and I'm like, yo, and then he had on Joey Diaz. It was an older episode, but Joey Diaz, I don't know if you know who that is. You ever seen the movie The Longest Yard?
Yes.
With Adam Sandler?
Yes.
Remember the big dude that was huffing and puffing, was like, you better not cut me.
Yes.
That's Joey Diaz.
Okay.
But he's one of the most prolific and hilarious stand-up comics I've ever heard, but he's also one of the most innocuous purveyors of truth I've ever heard. And he's one of those people that when he starts speaking, he'll make you cry.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? He's one of those, like, he starts talking about his story and shit. Even when he's making you laugh, you're gonna cry. He's one of those.
I'm a Pisces. I cry.
I'm a Leo. I cry.
Oh, man, I cry.
Word up.
And everything.
Yeah, I'm a big softie. I don't care. But there are certain movies I can't watch. There are certain songs I can't listen to. I'm so excited by the Pointer Sisters. It was my mom's favorite song in all the world, and now that I'm an adult and I listen to it, I realize that my mom might have been a little bit promiscuous because that song ain't nothing about getting laid.
What was you doing?
Yeah, right. Like Eminem's song "Headlights" with Nate Bruce. Oh man, every time that song come on, I start blubbering like a baby.
Listen, anything that Shonda Rhimes writes, I cry. Everything.
Okay.
Everything.
All right. You cried at the end of Scandal?
Scandal. I cry at Grey's Anatomy every episode.
Oh my God.
I just cry.
You know what's funny? I've never watched an episode of Grey's Anatomy.
Don't get sucked into it.
No. Listen, I fell down I got sucked into Supernatural.
I like Supernatural.
I did too, and I still can't bring myself to watch the last episode because I know I'm gonna cry a lot.
You just need it's like a band-aid. You just gotta rip it off.
I know. It's on Netflix too. I should just
Yep.
You know.
Get it over with. Get it over with.
You know what I'm saying?
The cost of Netflix keeps going up.
Listen, they're gonna bring it back, I think. I think they'll bring it back. You have taken this Meet Me thing by storm because you now have a sponsored show.
I do have a promoted show.
In the flaming half hell did you do that?
No, honestly, it just so plug, right? I mean, everybody
Entangled, is it?
Entanglements, which happened right before I came here. But Entanglements, anybody who decides from watching this, you want to join Meet Me Scout or whatever, Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. we have Entanglements with ItsJillyBaby. That's my name on the app. Honestly, so there's lots of sponsored content on there, right? So the app in general is trying to find ways to engage and to provide like curated content, right? Because essentially your streamer, that's your channel, you do your own thing. You know, you curate whatever content, whether that's actual things or you just sit there and talk or you DJ or you whatever, right? So the app and as a whole was trying to curate specific content like television, right? So people that come on there's certain shows with different things at different times that you can interact with and expect a specific subject matter, right? And you can expect it on a schedule every Tuesday at this time. Every Tuesday you can tune in to see this, right? Just to drive more traffic, but to just play with the idea of curated content. So there's plenty of shows on there when I started. So essentially what happened was when I started taking streaming seriously, we'll go through the explanation. There's streamers and then you have what's called top badge streamers, right? So top badge streamers are streamers recognized by the app as being one of the, their top streamers. And they want to recognize that by you by flagging your stream with a badge. It says top badge. So what it does is your streams will always usually be trending. You get trending boosts and you're the content or the streams that when you're on, they want to push as people come so that they come to see you and have that experience because you're a top streamer. So once I got my top badge, leading up to doing that, I had been trying to, I've been watching some of the content. So the video director of the director of video content and thing on there, his name is Chris Casper. I'm watching that, I watched his show. And I remember the month before I got my top badge, I had messaged him on his Instagram and said, hey, I want to be on your show. I want to be on your show. And then I got my top badge and he's the one that introduces top badges. So that was our first meeting. And, I was just talking about myself and my platform and what I do. And at the end of our interview, I said, hey, when are you going to put me on your show? When am I going to be on Suited Up? I want to be on there. And he's just nobody's ever just said it out here and put me on the spot like this. He's like, so I guess we'll talk. But from that interview and discussion, he reached out to me and just said, hey, would you be interested in having your own show? I think you would be really good at having a show. Would you take me? So we had a meeting and Entanglements came about in my stream on something super just one day, a friend of mine was talking about a relationship. You talk about whatever comes up for the day. And she started talking about how an old ex of hers had popped up in her life again, popped up and messaged her with one of the hey big head moments, what are you doing? And she was like, I'm not even interested in that because you want to know what happened. And she started telling myself and whoever's in the stream the story. And it started to get so complex, right? And I still have it on my thing. I save every entanglement that I write up. And I was like, wait a minute. And I just happened to have this big Post-it paper thing. I said, okay, I need to write this down. So I put this big Post-it down and I just start drawing it out like an org chart. Okay, there's you, there's him, and then they're connected and they do this. And then I just turned around to the stream and I said, okay, this is the story. And I just started telling the whole story. And everybody's just cracking up and they're like, oh my God, this is it's like an entanglement. This was around the time the whole August, Alcina, Jada and everything. They're like, oh my God, it's a whole entanglement. And it was on a Tuesday. And somebody else was in the stream and was like, oh my gosh, it's like Entanglement Tuesday. We should do this again. So we did it again on another Tuesday, but we were making one up, right? So we were just taking people on the app and we just made up a whole fake entanglement story. And then it just morphed into someone saying, oh, I have an entanglement. And I was like, really? I was like, are you going to come in on Tuesday? All right, everybody, Entanglement Tuesday. So this was leading up to my top badge. So he reached out to me and I said, well, I do this thing on my stream called Entanglement Tuesdays. And we do this. And he was like, nah. He's like, I want to do something more about dating. We need more dating shows. And so we came up with this whole thing. He was pitching me stuff. And he was just like, oh, what if you did a love classified thing? And I said, okay, I think I can do it. And we ended the call. And so I started thinking about it. And I was just like, if they want to give me a show where they do everything and I just host it, I'm down for it. But if you're giving me a show and I have to do all of the work and I have to find the guests and have to curate it, it has to be something that I am excited about and passionate about. And I'm not excited about what you're pitching me to do this. So a couple weeks later, we had another call. He was like, well, what do you think? And I said, I'm not feeling it. And I said, I really think that you should give this entanglement thing a try. I said, how about this? It was on a Monday. I said, how about tomorrow? You come to my stream at this time. I'm going to do it. And then you tell me what you think. So he came to the show and I always recap the previous week. And then I have someone new come in.
Okay.
So I'm recapping the thing. I'm probably 2 minutes into the recap. And he pops up in the comments and he's like, show's approved. And he is just like, this is a go. And I just went through the whole show. He called me afterwards and he was just like, I get it. He was like, that's great. he was like, you know, and he gave me pointers on the show because doing a show and being a streamer, it really is like two brains, right?
Oh,
the streamer thing is more interactive, and it was very challenging to shift out of not wanting to respond to the comments and just curating your show, right? Your show is here, and then they're just audience members watching, right? So you don't have to respond to comments. It's not rude in a show setting to not acknowledge people as they come in when you're not streaming. So it just morphed into that. And from that point, he was like, show approved, you know, keep doing it. We'll have to get, you know, your banner made and all that stuff. So tonight was my first, like, I finally got my banner yesterday.
Yeah, I saw it.
Today was the first day that it was up. It was like the first like promoted actual show. Like, it was just really awesome. You know, I have so much fun with it, and people, you know, it's a dating site, but you know, like I say, I'm like, there's the fun side of dating, but there's the mess. And we should talk about the mess, you know?
We should. And you know what? To me, it's not even a dating site, because I started on Plenty of Fish and then deleted that shit and downloaded Meet Me. Cause I forget who it was. Somebody recommended it. And it was like, yo, you should just get on Meet Me instead. Trust me, it'll be better for you.
Right.
And hearing you say that, I'm like, well, damn, I host the Just to Be Frank podcast. Like, what are we doing? Like, let's go Meet Me. I already said it in the last one. I was like, yo, all right, Meet Me, sponsor this. Let's go. I'm dropping jewels here. But I don't go live like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. I don't know why. I just, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm just, like I said, I like to just put it out there and just go. This is the content. Enjoy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if I'm live, then I really got to be on. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I sort of have to perform. It's sort of a performance.
It is. No, it 100% is. Like, and it's really funny because a lot of people, I think sometimes that can be the challenging thing when you're having a rough day is people, you know, come in and just be like, this is all you do. And they make comments like that. And it's really one of those things, like, it's not as easy as you think to just turn the camera on and just be over here. Like, it's not, you know, like you may be on that side having fun, but try being on this side, and it happens every time. Anybody who has done that will always come back on their first section, just be like, oh yeah, this is way different. Like, you may make it look easy and fun, but this is like,
it's not easy. It's fun, not, but it's not.
And if you're really good at it, like really good streamers make it look easy, but it's a lot of work, you know, like, and you can see that. You can go on that app and you can go through hundreds of streams, you know, and you will see what the difference is between people that are really good about it, that you enjoy being in, that will talk to you and acknowledge you, and the ones that you just kind of like,
all right, this is weird. And then they're like, you know, as a guy, to me, they're throwing girls at me constantly. Like, hey, this is, you know, that's what they're doing. That's really what it is. Like, and I'm just looking around like, all right, yeah, this does not look, all right, okay. You know, okay, she looks like she's interesting. Like, you see somebody smiling, like looking like they're enjoying themselves in their photo, you want to hit the pic. You know what I mean? It's presentation is everything, man.
At the end of the day, marketing is the name of the game. Like, if people, you know, are on there and they talk about, you know, like, well, how can I get more views, especially when you're starting out new? And I'm like, listen, it's the cover of your book. Yeah. Like, people want to click on things that they like looking at. Like, think about what you click on when you're over there. Like, what are the types of pictures you scroll on by? What are the type of pictures that make you want to look? And I'm not saying you have to, like, you know, yes, the sexy sells and all that, but you know, it still has to be you. But I mean, the picture gets them in. The picture gets them in. But what you do makes them stay. So, you know, double-edged.
It's like everything is two-sided. I tend to spend most time in one young lady's stream. She's from the UK, and she's just really funny and fun to interact with, and she interacts with everybody. She opens her box up all the time. We had a whole 2 hour, no, we actually had like a 6 hour 2-day conversation about race and racism. You know what I'm saying? Because she runs anti racism organization in Europe.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's really, really interesting. And, you know, you get to know her. She gets to know us. And if it's positive, and there's like mad dude, there's a dude in there, he's a cop in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? We were talking about the police, and he was engaging and open and honest. You know what I'm saying? We were able to have that
dialogue
that would not happen
any other
else.
space, right?
It wouldn't
a
happen.
Woman from UK, a guy in Pennsylvania, and a cop in Atlanta, right?
You know what I'm saying? And my boy Dreamer in New York, you know what I'm saying? And a dude in frickin' Louisiana, and a couple of people in Florida, and you know, and you'll find it, for all our differences, we have so many similarities. You know what I'm saying? And be it music, be it weed, be it games, be whatever it is, we have way more connections than we ever do differences.
Right.
And I think that's the power of this tool that we've discovered here.
Yeah, and you know what it does too? It also gives people, I know somebody on here who says that this tool has helped them with their like social anxiety. It's kind of helped them be a little more, you know, outgoing and talkative, just because, you know, it's a little bit of a barrier to make you feel it's a comfort, right? Yeah. So I'm in the comfort of my home. I am the safe space of my own, and it's just me, and you know, the only person that has a one up is the person that's on the video stream, right? Because they're the only person that can talk. But everybody else in here has the same, you know, level of interaction here that I have, you know? And so it's definitely been a great resource and tool to do that. And those are the things I like to focus on, right? All the positive things that come out of it. But like life, right? There's negative, there's the yin and the yang, right?
Always.
There's always that push and pull. And yeah, there's that stuff that happens, but look at all these great things that have happened. You know, like I've met some amazing people, you know, I've made some amazing connections, and you never know who you're going to meet or come across that, you know, can help you, or know somebody that you may say something and will pop up and be like, oh my gosh, do you need help with that? I should really connect you with this person. And would have never met otherwise if you weren't on Meet Me Scout or POF, you know?
Something, you know, maybe not POF.
It's coming along. I'm still team POF, okay? It's coming along.
I see that their compute, like the beta on the laptop, is coming along as well. Like there's still some kinks to it, but yeah, that one works out kind of good.
And that's the again, right? Because it's the new kid on the block, right? A lot of those integrations take a lot longer because it's literally reconfiguring their whole system.
Right. It's built for a touch screen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's built, and their dating site wasn't built for a live feature, right? So they're literally like having to integrate this into their whole model. Right, of, you know, the live feature is free, you know, and you know, they're a paid site, right? Like that's how they make their money, right? Getting income from all this stuff now is a different stream of revenue, but they still have to honor, at least for right now, right, what their original structure was, right? You get access to this, and this, then you have to pay a fee if you want to get access to all these other
right, like microtransactions in video games. It's just the sign of the times. It's just the way business is done now. It's the business model that works, and it works mainly because we're all stuck at home. You know what I'm saying? Like
again, so
you know, and yeah, and it's interesting, man, because you haven't seen stuff like something like this on this scale and scope since like 9/11. Right, like just and I'm just talking about
type of feel, like
yeah, but I'm also just talking about like the advent of new technologies. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't long after 9/11 that social media rose.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It took advantage of that innate fear of being places by giving people the ability to connect online. And then rose Tinder, and you know what I mean, over time now, who goes to bars to meet anymore? You swipe right. You know what I'm saying? Like it has taken advantage and kind of pushed some of those fears on us as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like we said, with any tool, when it's used properly, it could be an amazing thing. And that's what we have.
Keyword. Used properly.
Used properly.
Used for good, not for evil.
I'm okay with a little bit of evil. A little bit. Just a little bit.
Spice. Just a little spice.
A little spice. You know what I mean? Just a little bit.
Nice.
Man, well, listen, I'm going to let you get some rest. I know you've had a long day.
been a long day.
But I thank you ever so much for joining me today.
I appreciate you having me. It was a pleasure meeting you. I'm happy to do this again. This is fun. You know, I'm always up for a chance to talk.
And listen, you know what? I tell you what, the more we come together and we spread word about these things, especially about these silent illnesses and just these safe spaces where people can be, I think it'll lead to more of a good thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know,
it's Jilly Baby
alone, you know.
I thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. And do you call your watchers or your followers at anything? Do you have a hive?
Honestly, I just call them family.
Like
family. Everybody who watches.
Family, it was a pleasure to meet you. Come find me on POF.
I mean, listen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link to all your join to the stream and all that in there in the description and all that.
That's great.
The fun of editing.
The fun of editing. Come see me, guys, on the Butterfly Effect. I'm on usually every day. Come say hi. Let me know if you watch me on this. Let me know. Come in there and just say, hey, saw you on Frank's podcast. I was like, I'll be excited. You can maybe hop in my box.
I'll be there. Listen, you know, I'll be on there now. My name on there is Uncle Frank Starfyre. I'm Uncle Frank on I'm Uncle Frank. I come in and be like, what y'all doing? What are you listening to? Why y'all making all this racket?
With your whiskey. With
my whiskey. Where my whiskey at, baby? Come on now. I'm hungry. Well, fix me a plate. Give me a plate.
I love it. Jilly. Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure.
It was a pleasure of mine, man. We got to do it again. Like I said, January hip hop, we on it because that's going to be fun.
That will be fun. I gotta go brush up on my.
Listen, man, what's your favorite hip hop record of all time?
Oh, my favorite hip hop record of all time. The one that will come to mind most immediately, I have several, but the one that really gets me going is I'll Be There For You, You're All I Need, Method Man and Mary J.
Okay. That is a very good answer. You're doing well.
Wherever we could be in the library. If I hear that in the headphones, I'm rapping and I'm dancing. It's happening.
You know what? You're an awesome person. My cat decided to join us here. Claude decided to be like, well, you're not paying any attention to me.
Oh. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. I appreciate you having me and sharing your platform with me. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome, man. You're always welcome anytime. Thank you so much. You have yourself a blessed one.
Bye.
I'll see you later. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Jillian Gomez. You can catch her on Plenty of Fish, the Meet Me app, and the Scout app, and her is the Butterfly Effect. Go in the live stream, go say hi, tell her Frank Starfyre, tell her Uncle Frank sent you. Tell her Uncle Frank sent you. But I definitely, it's one of those things, man. You know, the power of social media is that it can indeed bring people together, you know, in very profound ways. And it is a tool like anything else. And like any tool, it can be used properly or it could be used improperly. It's up to you to decide how you're going to utilize that tool. Recognizing that if you use it properly, it can bring you great benefits. And if you use it improperly, you can smash yourself in the fucking face. So, which would you prefer? Like, you know, just be honest here. Like, which would you prefer? With that being said, man, I want to thank Jillian Gomez for joining me. It's JillyBaby on Instagram. And I'll definitely put all her information in the description of the video. So thank you so much. With that said, I'm Frank Starfyre. This has been the Just to Be Frank podcast. Y'all have yourselves a wonderful day. Be blessed. Come see me on the Meet Me app, Uncle Frank Starfyre. Just pop in the live stream because I think we're going to take the Just to Be Frank live and do it like that, man. So come on, come join me and have a good time. All right. One love, abracadabra.